Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering The Marvels Gets Killed. Massive drop in ticket sales means the movie is dead. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. The Marvels' massive Thursday box office drop from The Hollywood Reporter. Box office Hunger Games prequel opening to $45 to $50 million. Also pretty bad, but The Marvels suffers a historic drop. Why is this movie doing so badly? Well, Stephen King is blaming The Marvels' failure on men. Yep, it's all men's fault. From Cosmic Book News, more women show up for Rachel Ziegler than Brie Larson. It's not really the men's fault. Men are actually going to see Captain Marvel's The Marvels. Not that many of them, but they're mostly men. But women are not interested in Brie Larson's Captain Marvel. Salon suggests this. Maybe the Marvels perform poorly because the MCU and its fan base are getting old. Literally. The Marvels box office sees a massive Thursday box office drop, which follows its Monday through Wednesday box office drop, being the lowest and the worst in the history of the MCU. Likewise, Thursday is just as bad, actually worse, as it's the lowest daily box office the movie made to date. The Marvels brought in only $1.25 million on Thursday, and the details are listed below by day. We will check those out. The original Captain Marvel movie's Thursday box office on its second weekend did over $9.2 million. That gives you an idea of how drastically different these two movies are doing. Now, the author is starting to say, I'm starting to believe those conspiracy theories that Disney purchased tickets for Captain Marvel. Where'd all the fans go? 75% of fans didn't show up for the billion-dollar sequel. Now, guess what fans didn't show up? Mostly women, girls, and families didn't show. There were rumors going around that Disney was buying tickets so that people could see the first female superhero, particularly they were bussing around little girls, bringing them to the movie theaters. It is true that Disney can purchase tickets if they decide to purchase tickets as a promotional event. If they decide to spend $25 million, $50 million, or even $100 million on tickets, they can do that. And then they can charge that as a promotional expense. When the box office numbers come in, Disney isn't required to say whether or not they purchased some tickets promotionally to promote their film. Eventually, they wind up listing what their overall promotional budgets are, but they do have a lot of flexibility to manipulate these numbers. None of this has anything to do with public numbers being reported for their official public company results. So they can abuse these things, they can manipulate these things, and we really would never know. Check this out. It took the first Captain Marvel movie 32 days to reach such a daily low box office number that the Marvels achieved in a week. So in 32 days of the original Captain Marvel, it was still doing better than $1.25 million for a daily take. The Marvels, the sequel to Captain Marvel, managed to get the number that low in just 1 week. Now look at this, a second Thursday comparison to other MCU films with a low box office, and the Marvels isn't even coming close. Incredible Hulk did $4.1 million in comparison. Ant-Man, $4.7 million in comparison. Black Widow, $5 million in comparison. Black Widow, wasn't that during the pandemic or something? In addition to that, Black Widow had Disney Plus selling the show through Disney Plus, actually competing with their own film in movie theaters. Shang-Chi did $3.9 million. The Eternals did $6.2 million. Quantumania did $3.7 million. Saying that this is underperforming is the understatement of the year. The Marvels is also now underperforming compared to DC's Blue Beetle, The Flash, and even Birds of Prey, as well as Sony's Morbius. To say the box office is a complete disaster for Kevin Feige and the MCU is the understatement of the year. Box office estimates are now offering to expect the second weekend box office to plummet by 65% or so to $16 million. and I've seen projections that are even worse. The film cost at least $250 to $350 million to produce and promote. Here's how the Marvels has been doing on a day-by-day basis. Thursday and Friday, it did $21 million. Saturday, $15 million. Sunday, $9.2 million. Monday, $2.3 million. Tuesday, $3.3 million on a discounted movie ticket structure. Maybe they need to do more of that, more discounted ticket days. They better think of something. Wednesday, $1.7 million. And Thursday, $1.2 million. Here's what the Hollywood Reporter has to say. Outlook continues to look bleak for superhero pick The Marvels, which is falling off 78% to 80% in its second weekend to rank as Marvel Studios' worst second weekend drop-off of all time, as well as the worst for any Hollywood superhero pick. Literally any superhero pick, it's doing worse than that. Among Marvel's Cinematic Universe titles, prequel Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania previously sported the worst drop of 69%. And we were all freaking out about that and making videos about it when that happened. This is worse than that. The Marvels is expected to earn $9 to $10 million for the weekend. So not $16 million. This has been updated from this 16 million number and now be as low as 9 to 10 million for the weekend, putting it in a potentially close race with Thanksgiving, although most rival studios show the Marvels coming in third ahead of Thanksgiving. Stephen King wants to blame Marvel's failing on men. Ms. Marvel Iman Vellani says she appreciates his support. In a page straight out of Clown World, legendary novelist Stephen King blames the Marvels' failure on men. The Marvels is the worst performing movie in the MCU's history and also tied for the lowest rated. Since it's a huge failure, the blame game is being played, and of course it's not on Kevin Feige or the studios, the director, the producers, the writers, the actors. The blame is being placed on the fans. And of course, it's not superhero fatigue. The narrative being played out on Twitter is that men are to blame for the failure of the Marvels. The latest is from 76-year-old Stephen King, or whoever is running his Twitter account, who blames the fanboys, of course. Ironically, King himself may be one of those fanboys, as he admits he never watches Marvel movies and hasn't seen the Marvels. Quote, "I don't go to MCU movies, don't care for them," King tweeted. "But I find this barely mask gloating over the low box office for the Marvels very unpleasant. Why gloat over failure?" I responded to him on that tweet to say the reason people are gloating about the failure of the Marvels is because people used to actually care about the Marvel characters and the Marvel stories. And then Disney went, and against the wishes of Marvel CEO Ike Perlmutter, they forced out Brie Larson's character just to do a female superhero, which wasn't called for, wasn't part of the Marvel feel. There was no build up to it. They just forced it on the Marvel audience. And then they told everyone, hey, you need to expect a lot more diversity. Ike Perlmutter told them not to do this, the CEO of Marvel. Bob Iger stepped in after telling Ike Perlmutter that Ike would have control over his own company and their creativity, that he was forcing the issue and that they were going to do a Captain Marvel Brie Larson movie no matter what he said. And then he took authority away from Ike Perlmutter. Of course, Ike Perlmutter knew he was right. We knew Ike Perlmutter was right. And Marvel did it anyway. And that's why we're saying, look, all we have left is to tell you, I told you so. We don't have the characters. We don't have the story. We don't have the enjoyment of characters actually being made into cool movies like a lot of us as comics fans grew up wanting to see. We don't have that anymore. But what we do have is the ability to say, we told you this was going to fail, and it did fail. In a follow-up tweet, Stephen King added, some of the rejection of the Marvels may be adolescent fanboy hate, yuck, girls. The same people who said they wanted Marvel to stay Marvel are the same kinds of people that, like me, went to go see Wonder Woman and said, hey, this was a great movie. They did a really good job on Wonder Woman. Marvel did not do a good job on Captain Marvel. That's the fault of the studio, not the fans. In an interview with Yahoo, Iman Vellani, who rated the first Captain Marvel movie only 2 stars, tells the site she is thankful for his support. Quote, having Stephen King in anyone's corner is pretty awesome, she says with a smile. Responding to Stephen King's first tweet about gloating over the failure of the Marvels, it's pretty simple. It means people don't want more of it. It means fans don't like the actors. It means fans don't like the characters. It means fans don't like the stories. They don't like the politics. The characters in the comics that are decades old have been replaced, all for the sake of agenda-driven diversity. And this is from the author, and I couldn't agree more. My favorite characters are getting replaced, and I am not allowed to enjoy them anymore simply because of their race, the color of their skin, and their gender. New characters and stories aren't being created. They are wiping out the originals. The creators behind these new characters have also attacked fans and continue to do so. Are we going to gloat when it all ends in a complete dumpster fire? Of course we are. Imagine if your classic horror novels, Mr. King, were completely rewritten, all for the sake of an agenda where the original story has been utterly destroyed and the new form is a worthless wannabe compared to the original, all to send a message. And at the same time, the original creator and the fans are completely disrespected and tossed aside, where the story doesn't matter, but only sending that message comes first and matters? Imagine that. Regarding blaming the fanboys, Stephen King obviously doesn't realize the Marvel fanboys are the only ones who actually showed up to watch the Marvels. Who didn't show up? Little girls didn't show up, their moms didn't show up, women didn't show up, and families didn't show up. Men actually did show up, comparing the audiences of the Marvels to the Rachel Ziegler Hunger Games that gets released this weekend. Deadline revealed men showed up for the Marvels and women did not. But women showed up for Hunger Games and they sure as heck showed up for Barbie. So what is going on with that? The first Captain Marvel made over $1.1 billion at the box office. Something like 75% of that audience didn't show up for the Marvels. Those aren't all fanboys. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.